Hi, thank you for being here. I have no idea when you're going to see this video. It's actually the 21st of May 2023 when I'm recording this. The purpose of this series is to follow my process and my progress after a gastric sleeve surgery. If you were here for any sort of miracle diet, tips and tricks into weight loss, I'm sorry to disappoint, and this would be a good time to stop watching this video. However, if you've struggled seriously with weight loss, and I mean more than 5 or 10 kilos throughout your entire life, then you're more than welcome to stay here and enjoy this process and this story with me. I don't feel the need to justify myself and how I got here in the first place. And it took me a lot of years to get here and acknowledge or find out that this is a possibility in the first place. It took me long enough. However, the only reason I'm explaining my reasons for undergoing this process is to clarify the difference between doing this for aesthetic reasons and doing this for health and medical reasons. And don't get me wrong, I am all pro body positivity. However, I do hope that whatever you're going through, you do manage to feel that you're enough and that you don't need to undergo a series of changes, radical changes, to be at peace with yourself. I feel like I'm so far from it to some extent that what I just said, although it had the best intention, I almost didn't believe myself when I said it. I love working out. I love eating clean. It never came easy to me, neither of those things. And one of the many turning points, but let's say the final turning point for me, was when my knee problems have increased considerably. And I'm saying this after having had 2 knee surgeries with lengthy recovery already. Now, trying to postpone potentially 3rd surgery that I will require, I've tried to find a solution, to honestly answer the question of what am I doing to myself and how am I going to do this? And to be more specific, after the 2nd knee surgery, which had the lengthiest recovery, which was an ACL reconstruction and sewing of the meniscus, the surgeon has specifically and heavily instructed me to lose weight for medical reasons. I have managed to do so until I have regained it partially, and after the problems have increased again, after things got complicated again later on, I got completely lost. And if anything, I started gaining weight again, but more than that, I just felt stuck. I was thinking, how am I going to face my surgeon, who's an amazing professional and the kindest friend? However, how am I going to face him knowing that I haven't accomplished what he has specifically instructed me to do so? And even if my knee complications have occurred because of stupidest reason or circumstance, deep inside, I know that I am accountable and responsible for this, that because I haven't lost weight, this has contributed to the persistence of these problems in my ligaments. I was just in my room one day having a midday crisis a few months after living with these problems again, and I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And what am I going to do? And somehow I just got this flash of a thought that I'm just going to do something to my stomach and get help because I need help. But the moment this thought came in my head, it already sort of spiraled or dominoed into this sort of network of information that I already had in my head. However, those ideas never connected to each other. I didn't know what the surgery implied. I just knew that about the old-fashioned ways of having a ring attached to your stomach. This was the beginning of a long period of research. But before I even researched, I've already contacted one person specifically whom I knew had this surgery to tell me about her process specifically. Easing into this information, there was this moment of peace of mind that I've never experienced, when my mind felt at ease for a second, because I'm turning 30 and I've spent more than half of my life already trying to lose weight, and it just felt like an endless process, never knowing if you're ever going to complete this process. And I just felt that ease and that peace, and I don't know if I cried or my eyes teared up because I felt like there is hope and that I need help and that there is help that I can obtain. Shortly after this, I began a long and extensive and in-depth research process to understand what the options are. Then I found out about the option to have a gastric sleeve. I've also watched the videos of two creators in Romania where I was also going to have the surgery. I'll link them in this video. I think one of them is Heike. I really hope I'm saying that right. And the other one is Milena. I've loved their videos because they were really honest and really insightful. They had the surgery in different cities with different surgeons. There was this one common conclusion amongst everyone, and that's the fact that everyone was so grateful and happy and encouraging of anyone needing to undergo this procedure. At this point, I've, already had enough. I've already started on the right foot, ironically, with my knee. So that was at the base of all my desire to improve and better my health. At the stage when I was still researching this, it was unclear to me if I can make this happen in the space of time, in the sort of holiday that I've had. It was unclear if I have enough time to recover and what does recovery mean and how long do I realistically need and how do I ensure that my recovery will be successful and that I can maintain this permanent change in lifestyle without ever jeopardizing my health and my healing. Once I arrived in Romania, I went to a pre-made appointment to my surgeon, whose name is Coros Marius, in Târgu Mureș. This is in Transylvania, and I've already done my research. I was already having the mindset of doing this no matter what. If I pass all the blood and scans and tests that I have to undergo pre-surgery, I was very much set to undergo this process anyway. There were two quite funny things that happened whilst I was waiting for him to arrive for the appointment. The first one being the woman at the reception greeting me really nicely and really happily. There was another gentleman talking to her sort of from the door, and she greeted me so impressed and so happy to see me as if we knew each other, and I was like getting a sense that that's a misunderstanding. And she said, "Oh, you look so well, how much have you lost?" And I told her, I think you're having me confused because I haven't undergone the surgery just yet. So she rapidly apologized and she said, "No, sorry, I was talking to the man outside and he is accompanied by his sister, and for a second I was sure that you were his sister." So the pair, the brother and the sister, walk through, and she was radiating, she was glowing, she was happy, she was like, every part of her body was like in such a good mood, He's asked me if I want to have the procedure done myself, and I said yes, and she couldn't recommend it to me enough. She has shown me photos of both him and her. He was a year after the surgery and she was like 6 months after the surgery, having lost more than like 40 kilos or something like that. And their results were impressive and they just looked so good and so normal from a normal healthy body composition. Yeah, so that was a really beautiful start to this experience, being so encouraged by complete strangers who have had the procedure done with the same surgeon that I was going to do so. Then the surgeon arrived and we had the first meeting. First, he wanted to understand if I'm doing this for the right reasons, and he has emphasized that this is not an aesthetic procedure. You do not do this because you just want to lose weight aesthetically. And I've clarified it to him that I do not feel well and that I really need this for my knee. On top of everything, the reality is that I do not feel good in my body for a long time now. He's explained to me the procedure. He drew me the organs, how the incisions are going to be made. And I was really proud of myself at that stage because even though seemingly it's a simple procedure to understand, I have really, really done my research. And to the point where I didn't really have many questions left to ask him. I was really proud of myself that I was so prepared, and not just for the procedure itself, but also for the aftercare and the aftermath of this experience. And then he booked me in for the slot for the exact date that I needed and wanted. I was lucky enough that he had an availability in that day. And the next day I've already started undergoing the countless blood tests that I had to undergo, like heart scans and whatever else he instructed me to do so, and I've somehow managed to do all of them in the next day. And luckily all the exams were and are good. Things can just go ahead smoothly. later I will do, if anyone's interested, I can do a detailed breakdown of the costs. However, I'm not sure if this is relevant to anyone specifically. However, what I can mention is that this type of surgery is not for free, at least in Romania anywhere, because you sort of need to pay the kit, so the actual device that is being used to cut your stomach. Maybe you could get some of the blood tests and scans. You can get them discounted through the national health system over here, but the surgery itself you cannot. Today's Sunday. Next Monday I am having the procedure. Yesterday I was visualizing it and I can't believe that I'm so close. The reality is that I'm so ready. From the moment I've made this decision, I've also done this mental process of saying goodbye to the foods and habits that I will no longer have, and I was trying to have this idealistic closure process that never really happens in reality with any sort of loss. But I've tried to complete this cycle and be like, I've enjoyed you all my life so far, but you no longer serve me, and I will enjoy eating this food now, but I'm really glad knowing that I will no longer have it. And believe it or not, I just react really well to strict rules and strict guidelines and a strict process. I remember when I used to tell one of my friends who is intolerant to gluten as well as lactose that I was jealous of him because I wish I had those restrictions in place. It wasn't surely the wisest thing I've ever said, but there was honestly some part of me that I wish functioned like that by default. Strict rules that you just simply cannot have these things anymore. Funny enough that after this surgery you have some really strict rules that tailor to the maintenance and the recovery of the stomach itself. So a lot of the rules post-surgery are just to make sure that the stomach doesn't, create any like bubble or gap or like swelling and nothing opens. Everything stays exactly as it was done in the surgery. And later on you have various other rules to ensure that you're still losing weight, because even on a teeny tiny stomach you can still eat high caloric foods that would first of all stop you from losing weight, and secondly even potentially continue to increase in weight. I'm so ready for this, and having eaten so many of the foods that I crave prior to this process, I've gained more weight and I just feel bad. I feel always bloated and full, and my body just does not feel good. My mobility, my energy levels, my skin, everything's difficult. Every movement is difficult and uncomfortable, and mentally it's been truly heavy. And I was thinking before, I'm glad that I'm eating all the foods that I'm craving, but what if there's a teeny tiny possibility that I'm not going forward with the surgery? That would have been catastrophic. Fortunately, that's not the case. And I remember a conversation that I was having with a friend about the surgery, and he said, but why don't you eat like that? Imagine having had the surgery. The stomach of a normal person has the capacity of about 1 liter, and sometimes it's more, and post-surgery it becomes somewhere about of 80 milliliters, 2 tablespoons. It's incredibly little, and I would starve myself. I would absolutely starve myself. And being born in 93, we are a generation of people who have had unrealistic body standards and expectations, and we've all been one way or another through a process of starving ourselves and starting dieting with absolutely no clue about nutrition, no consideration for health and well-being and mental well-being. So it was a disaster. That's why I'm not eating like I would after the surgery, before the surgery, because I would drive myself crazy and starve myself. It's completely different when that's the limit of your stomach and you can actually feel that by ingesting something as small as 2 tablespoons you're full, which is surreal. That's almost like tasting the food and already be feeling full. That is insane. And secondly, when they cut the stomach, they also cut the hormone release center of the stomach that releases the hunger hormone called ghrelin. I hope I said that right in English. You don't experience this anymore. You don't experience this cravings and hunger at all. If anything, you risk not eating and having other problems because you completely forget or you don't feel like eating anymore. You also could potentially have weird reactions to the smell of food, to the seeing the foods that you once loved so much. You wouldn't react to them the same. And apparently after experiencing this process, you sort of go through almost like a process of diversification for babies when they start eating more than just milk, and they try including once in a while different vegetables and different foods. It's also the similarity in the process of a baby, because the stomach being small, but you're also treating it by giving it the purest foods, nothing processed and nothing like everything that we're used to consuming so far. This was supposed to be just like a pre-surgery video, but you could see that the thought process was long into having this done, and I just wanted to do this before, because I know that once I experience this process, I will have more and new information to share, and from the experience itself. I cannot speak as if I have already undergone the surgery. That would have been wrong. I said at the beginning of the video that I'm all pro body positivity, and however, the reality is that sometimes body positivity standards or wishful thinking or intentions clash drastically with the reality of your health. And obesity is something not to joke with, is something increasing, is something that I've suffered of for a very long time. I fought it intensely as well, and I'm just so excited and so ready for it not to be a part of my life anymore. I truly am. Thank you for being here.